Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Topher Drives, where it is truly a good morning because we are back in another Lexus LC500 convertible. This is the 2025 model, which doesn't really mean a whole lot. They haven't changed really anything since 2024 when they revised the interior and gave us a usable infotainment system. But this one is a bespoke build, just like the copper crest with blue interior car we were driving last year. But I think this one's a bit more tasteful, finished in Iridium, which is a new color for the LC500, replacing atomic silver. Iridium exists among other Lexuses, but it is new for the LC for 25, along with this red soft top. So you can now have a proper convertible silver on red spec with your LC. We have a Rioja red interior on this as well, but the things that matter are still here. Under the hood, the 5-liter naturally aspirated V8 still producing 471 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque. Backing that up, the 10-speed automatic. And this is rear-wheel drive with, I think, a limited slip differential. There's next to no information regarding on if the bespoke build cars get a limited slip diff. So I went out and did some professional research, and I'm pretty sure it has one. I'll just leave it at that. It wasn't any of this, it was somewhere else. But anyway, this morning we're commuting this out to Bespoke Motors in Livonia, Michigan. Last year with the LC500, we showed you what it was like to live with, and we went on a sunset drive. So I thought, well, what else is left to do? And then Adam from Bespoke Motors hit me up for some bring a trailer photography, and I thought, this is perfect. We can see what it's like to roll out of bed, get into your dew-covered LC500, because this poor thing had to sit out in the driveway last night, and see what it's like to commute, because I think this is the perfect grand tourer, daily driver, commuter, etc. And not only that, this may be my favorite new car on the market right now, specifically the convertible. I mean, this car is just pure bliss, and if you're unfamiliar with this, somehow in 2025 still, I hope you stick around for this video and see what this is like to drive. But let's very quickly poke around this. I mean, it's an LC500, you guys know this car, but we can see some morning commute essentials in here. Lovely Rioja red interior in this car. Apparently some of the stitching is new for 2025. Some of the designs that they put on this are brand new. I'm going to go ahead and pop the hood for us so we can see this 5-liter V8. And I know there are a lot of people that say that the LC500 is underpowered and non-competitive, and they're right about that, but that's not what this car is about. This could have 200 horsepower and I would still love it. Well, maybe not, but you guys understand the point. Here's our 5-liter V8, again 471 horsepower, 398 pound-feet of torque. This thing weighs in, convertible, at about 4,500 pounds, so it's over 2 tons of Lexus. But my oh my, I'm so glad that they've never messed with the styling on this. Even when they did the little facelift in 2024, they just did interior stuff because they got it so right in 2018 and in 2021, I think is when the convertible came out. In the trunk, which you open by pushing this little hidden button on the taillight, you can see there's really not room for much. You could maybe fit a day bag in here or one of those hard plastic suitcases that goes in the overhead compartment on an airplane, but you're really not going to do much else. We have our first aid kit strapped in for safety over there and this little accessory mat in the back. For 2025, the LC500 convertible starts at about $107,000. This one, as spec'd with the bespoke build pack, is $117,000. Now, the bespoke build is essentially what it sounds like. It gives you some more options for trimmings and unlocks some options that aren't available on other trim levels of the LC500. It also gives you an exclusive certificate of authenticity printed on Japanese washi paper, signed and stamped by the LC chief engineer Yasushi Muto. So, I mean, you do get some extra paperwork, which honestly, I haven't checked the glove box. I don't know if it's in here or not. I know the one last year didn't have it, but I'm curious, maybe, did they leave it in this one? Is it this? Ah, nope, that's just an Allen wrench. Okay, I don't think it's in here, But if you actually owned the car, of course, you would get all of that stuff with it. I would frame mine on the wall. Of course, we'll put the list of options in the description for you, but this one has the carbon fiber door sills. That is exclusive to the Bespoke build, as well as the red top. You could also go for blue. If you go for the blue and white interior, you can now have the top to match. We have these special wheels, which are a $40 option, which I think is hilarious. You got a few different wheel choices. The last couple of LC press cars have had these on them. And this is, what sort of, usually they put a Dunlop. Yeah, so this is a Dunlop tire. On the front, a 245/40 R21. Dunlop Sport Max. And on the back, a 275/35 R21. So a bit of a staggered setup here. But none of this really matters because this car is all about feelings. It's all about soul. And it's all about being comfortable. So let's go ahead, jump in, and start our commute to Vintique Motors. Now, this Rioja red interior, while it is quite pretty, I don't know if it's what I would choose because other interior options on the Lexus LC include the dashboard and the steering wheel in their color design. So if you go for the toasted caramel, the whole interior is tan, kind of like a Porsche. If you go for the blue and white, you get a blue steering wheel and a blue dashboard. So this does simplify things a bit. I suppose if you're worried about your steering wheel getting dirty, this would be a good choice for you. But let's go ahead and start this up and put the top down and hit the road. That is just the best. All right, so in the LC convertible, you get this little trap door, or I guess hidden compartment here for your top switch. Top goes down pretty quickly. Whole thing happens in about 15 seconds, and you can put this down at speeds up to 31 miles per hour. There we go. And then the second step is to roll up the windows. You can do all of that with this little switch right next to the top toggle switch, which I do like. And this is a convertible that you could put your significant other in that's scared about their hair getting blown about, because this will not do it. I mean, we'll go on the highway today and we'll go 70, 80 miles an hour, and I won't need earmuffs. You guys will be able to hear me just fine because that is the LC500 way. Dashboard, steering wheel, cluster, all that's unchanged for 25. We saw the introduction of this new 12.3-inch touchscreen last year in 24. They got rid of the touchpad, made this more accessible, and the heated seats are now a button, kind of. You hit a button and it puts them up on the screen, but it's better than digging through the menus before with the pre-2024 car. And it also kind of cleans up the design down here on the console. We've got wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. Everything works as it should. We still have this gauge cluster that moves across the dash like the LFA. Love to see it. I just love playing with it, and like the Lexus IS, I suppose, has that too. We have a Mark Levinson sound system, which we will test with the top down. Lexus has a unique tune for that, whether you have the top up or down, so love to see that. Got one singular cup holder. Don't think that would pass the Big Dumb Cup test. We may have to try that this week with Emily. And then this little sliding center console, which has a bunch of my stuff in it that I hope doesn't rattle around. Back seat is useless, but it's being used today for our wind deflector that helps keep this nice and quiet. Into reverse, 360 camera, and really nice high quality backup camera. This has the same technology as the Land Cruiser, where it shows you what is under the vehicle. Toyota started that as off-road tech, but now it's just in pretty much everything that has the surround view. What a lovely morning. Beautiful sunrise coming up. I'm in my favorite car. That mirror needs to be wiped off or it's going to blind me. Is there anybody coming behind? I know this is not the proper way to do this at all, but it should help some. Once you begin driving the LC500, you don't want to stop, but the first thing you notice is just the silkiness of everything. I think I described the steering last year as smooth like pulling taffy, though I've never pulled taffy before, so I'm not sure how that feels, but the steering in this feels how I imagine those men in candy shops feel pulling taffy. And the bellow of that 5-liter V8 is just bewitching. And that's nothing. I mean, once you actually rev this out to its 7,000 RPM redline, that's when it really comes alive. Just leaving it in drive, the 10-speed makes pretty intelligent decisions. And it'll actually rev itself out in normal mode. We do have a number of drive modes in this, accessible up here on the gauge cluster, like the LFA. I always say that because this is the closest I'll ever get to driving an LFA, so I like to pretend sometimes. Let's go sport. We have adaptive suspension in this car with the sport rear damper. Convertible also gets exclusive chassis tuning and rigidity. So we have a rear bar, we have a bar under the hood to help this stay nice and planted, mitigate any sort of cowl shake or anything like that. And that iconic Lexus rev limiter still lives on in the LC for 25. Oh. Let's go Sport Plus. To the brakes. Yes, machine. Oh dear. Got a Prius going over the solid line, or I don't think they made the turn. Well, they got to hear an LC500 downshift, so hopefully that was worth it for them. Being a bit of a menace to society for people's commutes today. I feel a little bit bad about it, but I only get to do this once a year. Oh, listen to the downshifts. All right, we'll behave in case this person needs to get over here. So if you can't get behind the LC500's performance, which I could understand if you're not into this sort of car, you should at least be able to appreciate the sound of this 5-liter. I mean, this is just one of, if not the best sounding car. Oh, around $100,000. And I mean, like, just, I can't believe Lexus still makes this car. Now, most people on their morning commutes don't just drive around in circles, so let's jump on the highway and see what this is actually like to live with. Of course, after we make a racket under this bridge up here. That is step one. And then we will merge onto the highway and ride in comfort. We're in Sport Plus, we'll take it out of that for the bumpy section. I mean, you guys already know everything there is to know about this car, so I'm just making extra noise today. Bounce it off the rev limiter a couple of times, have some fun. There's nobody behind us. Make the most of that. I had this every day for my morning commute, oh, how could you arrive to work in a bad mood, ever? This would just cure any piece of negativity you had in the morning. If it'll do it under this one. Hold on. The answer is yes. All right, back into drive, back into normal. So I can calm myself down a bit here. But listen to this, 73 miles an hour, top is down. Honestly, the only reason I have to raise my voice is because there are other vehicles on the road. If I was alone on the highway right now, it would be whisper quiet. But everyone else's tires do make a bit of a racket on this surface. This Escape's about to crash into this Jeep. Ride quality here is sublime. Quite soft, actually, to the point where it squats a bit under acceleration, but you're repaid once you merge onto the highway, or if you're on a bumpy section or something. The LC500 settles down beautifully, and it's really just a treat to sit in here and commute. Elbow comfiness is fantastic. Center console quite squishy. Door panel not as squishy, but it does the trick. I mean, you can just set yourself up for such success in this. I imagine if you're the lead of some sort of company and you drive to work every morning in an LC500, you have to have a successful company, because you have to just come in being extremely chipper and ready to go. Seating position in the LC500 is fantastic. You can sit nice and low. Everything's power adjust, of course, including the steering column. Visibility out of this, with the top down, of course, is pretty good. Back end does sit up kind of high, but I can see everything I need to out of this with no problem. On the highway, this is revved under 2,000 RPM. This week, over the last 117 miles, I've been getting 15 mpg. But that's okay, because I've been doing it with a big smile on my face. While turning carbon dioxide into noise, as Jeremy Clarkson would say. Controls in this have stayed the same. We still have a very nice physical climate control panel. And Lexus actually did what a lot of companies aren't doing in 2024 with the facelift, and actually made this easier to use. It's just really unheard of these days. Usually cars just get harder to use and more frustrating, but they've gone the other way with this. Simplified it some. This is proper rush hour right now, 8 o'clock in the morning. There is no chance we will have an open entrance to 275 today, but that's okay. Come on. Merging speed of a snail today behind Ann's semi-truck. The cool thing about this car is you don't really have to be going fast for it to sound good. Even just hearing it in the mid-rev range, like, it's such a cool sound. This highway's moving today. This is great. No complaints here with the traffic situation. Well, as we do normally on this section of highway, why don't we start up a sound system test and show you what that's like on the highway with the roof down. We're going to switch it up today and play Cobalt. I haven't listened to this one in a while. Weaving traffic at 2 a.m. song, but I feel like it shows off the complexity well for this Mark Levinson. You got the crispy highs, the bassy lows, lots of power here. And again, Lexus makes this so it tunes it slightly differently with the top down. And I think that's important for a convertible, a luxury convertible at that. Allegedly, we're getting into some traffic here, but I don't see it yet. Okay, here we go, getting into traffic now. All right, well, we'll be able to see what the LC500 is like in traffic. A very notable and usable test.
Time in traffic, 8 minutes.
Thank you, Jeeves. Throttle response, brake pedal feel, all quite progressive and natural. When you're in traffic with the LC, you're not going to be breaking your neck. I feel like now's the time for sport mode. Hear myself. See, when you're next to a semi, you can kind of bounce the sound off of them. So, it's another good LC500 traffic impression. I've always thought that the LC500 sounds similar to Maserati's old 4.7 liter naturally aspirated V8 that they used to put in the Quattroporte and the Gran Turismo. I always thought that was the best sounding car. And that kind of brings me to another point. In none of these other companies that used to make cars like this, that used to make these big grand touring, good sounding, naturally aspirated cars, they don't make them anymore. Jaguar, Aston Martin, Maserati. They've pulled the plug on everything that was like this, and yet Lexus still makes a car. I mean, they started in 2018, so they started after everyone else had kind of pulled out of the market. But the fact that Lexus makes this big, burly, naturally aspirated, grand touring villains car is just something so special. I didn't learn my lesson. I drove by this lane that was stopped and I still got over here. I don't know why I did that. Now, Lexus does make a hybrid version of the LC, only in coupe form. You can never get a hybrid convertible. And I'll give you a second to guess how many of those they sold in 2024. No, 8. 8 LC500 hybrids were sold in 2024. So for 2026, they're pulling the plug on it. You're not going to be able to buy it anymore. So if you want to get one of those, get one now. You can still have one. And I've actually never driven that car, but I've driven its older brother, the LS500 hybrid, or whatever that was called, which has the same hybrid system. And it was fine, but the whole soul and like purpose of the LC500 is the 5-liter and the 10-speed. I can't imagine it without that. So I don't really desire to drive the LC500 hybrid. And neither does anyone else, which is why nobody's bought one, and that's why Lexus is killing it for 26. But I hope that isn't predicting the end for all of the LCs. But at least we know we have one more model year in 2026. I don't know if they've confirmed it for 27 yet. But I fear this new sort of supercar thing that they're making, the LFA successor, as they're calling it. I fear that may spiritually replace this. But I'm just so thankful that I am an automotive YouTuber at the same time that the Lexus LC500 is a new car, because genuinely, this is one of my favorite cars I've ever driven. People ask me a lot when they find out what I do. They say, well, what's the best car you've ever driven? Or what's your favorite car you've reviewed? And I'm always inclined to say the Lexus LC500. It stands out to me that much. I've driven so many of them at this point. This is probably the 7th or 8th one of these I've driven. And it never gets old. I look forward to driving these every time. The soul runs really deep on this car, and people that have never driven one, understandably, don't get it. And that's fine. I mean, go drive one. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. I've driven just about everything on the new market. This car speaks to me, unlike most others. I always worry about coming up with new things to say about an LC500 before I review one, just because I've reviewed so many, but I don't think I need to. I don't think that's necessary, because this car should be thought of as an old soul, as a car that keeps coming back as just the perfect version of itself that it's always been. And I applaud Lexus for being a bit lazy and not really changing anything about it. This car was very acceptable in 2018, and it's kind of walking a thin line of acceptability in 2025 on paper, but on tarmac from the driver's seat. What a treat this car still is. I mean, this morning I woke up, I was tired and a bit miserable, to be honest. I woke up at like 6:30. But now all of that has gone, and I don't care about anything except hearing this V8. I think this car will go down in history as one of the most underappreciated vehicles for its time. This is one of those cars where people don't realize how good it is until it's already gone. You know, as many things in life, they have that effect, but the LC500 in the new car market currently, this is the car. This is the most underappreciated vehicle on sale today. But apart from being philosophical, allow me to be factual for a second. It's expensive, but not necessarily compared to some of its competitors. So this would actually be a feasible option for you if you're looking for a car in this class to be a daily driver. It's comfortable, it rides well, it looks great. There aren't a ton of places to put things in here. I mean, everything's a bit shallow. Lexus has kind of focused on beauty for this interior over function. But luckily the back seats are completely unusable, so you can actually use those as a shelf if you bring something with you on your morning commute. Just set it back there, because no person that has legs can use those back seats. So I suppose in that way it is quite practical. Even vent placement is pretty good. You've got this little central vent above the climate panel. Got a vent over here to the left of the steering wheel. And obviously you can control them with your hands. What a concept. It's just what I feel like if Jaguar would have ever made an XKR that was reliable and well built. or a Maserati Grand Cabrio that was reliable and well built, or an Aston Martin V8 Vantage convertible that was reliable and well built. Oh my goodness, what a treat. Should be bouncing noise off of this right now, off of this wall here. Love the raspiness to this. That's the other thing, they haven't tuned this back, they haven't dialed it back ever. I mean, this drives the same as it did in 2018. Respect, major respect to Toyota and Lexus. I mean, this car shows what engineers at Toyota are capable of if you give them a task such as this with probably an unlimited budget. I mean, let's be for real. They can produce something like this that just, I've got goosebumps. I love this thing. So that is going to do it for our morning commute in the Lexus LC500 convertible bespoke build. Again, we'll have the spec sheet in the description for you guys. But what a good morning I'm having now as we pull up to Vintique Motors. You can see, actually, that's the car I'm shooting today. It's a Cadillac something convertible. Proper shade of beige. There you go. We'll get this thing backed in. Put our roof up. It's interesting, Lexus claims 15 seconds for it to go down, but 16 seconds for it to come up. Alright guys, that's a wrap. You know I love this car. I've spent a whole video, I'm just talking about how much I love the car. So let's give you one last look at this Iridium exterior. Let me know if you have any questions 7 years later about this car, but that'll do it. Thank you guys all so much for joining me on my commute this morning, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.